Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into MASN All Access. Some breaking news to report here as Alex Cobb, starting pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, is reportedly headed out west to the LA Angels. Welcome into MASN All Access from my apartment. Unfortunately, we are still at work from home, but that's okay because we can't call out sick with a snow day today. And we're going to be discussing the Alex Cobb deal to the Angels, taking your comments as we are live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So the deal initially was discussed earlier today in some national reports. Ken Rosenthal most notably reporting that a deal was getting discussed with the veteran right-hander. And then just a short time ago, the return for that deal was reported in addition by Ken Rosenthal. So let's take a look at the reported trade details here. As Jahmai Jones, one of the top prospects for the Angels, is headed to Baltimore in exchange for Alex Cobb. Now, Alex Cobb will have part of his salary for the 2021 season covered by the Orioles, according to reports. More than half of his contract for the upcoming season, due $15 million with additional deferrals as well. Part of that will be paid by the Baltimore Orioles, and in return, they're getting a guy who is ranked by MLB Pipeline as the number 7 prospect in the Angels system, and a guy who actually made his major league debut during the 2020 season. Second baseman, center fielder, primarily a second baseman, but in that short time that he got to spend in the big leagues with LA last year, he had 3 singles in those 3 games, 7 at-bats, no extra base hits, small sample size, but this guy was very productive minor league hitter before making his major league debut in 2020. So we're taking your comments and reacting as we go along, discussing this Alex Cobb trade from the Baltimore Orioles to the LA Angels. Now, Cobb, of course, was expected to be a major piece in the Orioles rotation during the 2021 season, as he was during the 2020 season. Cobb's issue has traditionally been, even before his time with the Orioles, his health. That was not an issue in 2020. He made 10 starts, really did not perform all that great in the 10 starts that he had in Baltimore last year, but a little bit below his career ERA, 4.30 ERA for the 2020 season. During his seasons in Baltimore, he never got to win a game in Camden Yards, in kind of a strange statistical quirk. 38 strikeouts last year to just 18 walks in those 10 games. And like I said, pretty durable last year. The Orioles are trying to cash in on that durable 2020 season by sending him to the Angels, a team that the Orioles have made quite a lot of deals with as of late. Of course, last year they made the Dylan Bundy trade, sending him to the LA Angels in exchange for 4 prospects, and then earlier this offseason, Jose Iglesias as well. Taking your comments as we react to this trade and break it down. Noah Flaherty saying, Elias with another solid deal. Eddie saying, I can now say that I am okay with this. I think certainly some fans might have been maybe taken a little bit aback by the fact that Cobb was going out in this trade, but when you see the return of this deal, I have to agree with you, Eddie. Certainly more than I expected in return for Alex Cobb, considering the fact that he is over 30 years old at this point, coming off not a great season, a durable season, making those 10 starts, but an ERA still over 4, and a guy that really only has 1 year left on his deal with a significant amount of money left on that deal. So you were wondering what kind of return Mike Elias could get in an Alex Cobb trade. Ends up being a guy that was a top 10 prospect in the Angels system and could very well fit into the Orioles' top 15, top 10 prospects in Jahmai Jones. So what will the Orioles get out of Jahmai Jones? Could he potentially be the Orioles' starting second baseman maybe on opening day? They could make that arrangement if they move Yolmer Sanchez over to third, maybe make Rio Ruiz a left-handed bench bat, and they keep Freddie Galvis, the recent signing by the O's, at shortstop. That could be a configuration that Brandon Hyde takes a liking to early, but we certainly know Jahmai Jones, as somebody who got his feet wet at the big league level last year, will probably get some more time at the big league level in 2021. Whether he's on the big league roster to start the 2021 season and starting, we have yet to see, but he has that experience. He's 23 years old, came up from Double-A last year, as obviously no minor league season for him to play in Triple-A in 2020. in 2019 rather, at the Double-A level. He did hit .234 with 5 homers and played the majority of his games at second base with some in center as well. But is the Orioles' rotation going to take a hit because of this? On the other side of things, what will that rotation look like? We tried to parse it out because it's difficult at this time. John Means still going to be your opening day starter for 2021. That's not changing. Dean Kramer and Keegan Aiken, they were shoo-ins for the rotation at this point, considering how well they performed in their rookie seasons in 2020. Kramer pitching to a 4.82 ERA, which was a little bit inflated by a rough start in his final start at Fenway. And then Keegan Aiken as well with a 4.56, performing pretty admirably both in the rotation and out of the bullpen. After those top 3 guys, it gets a little bit murky. Bruce Zimmerman made his major league debut last year, pitched in a couple games, was not especially sharp, and of course a small sample size. We should keep that in mind with Bruce Zimmerman. A 7.71 ERA for the local Towson product. And then I just inserted Thomas Eshelman into this rotation because the Orioles don't have too many other bona fide starting pitchers at this point. They brought Thomas Eshelman back on a minor league deal earlier this offseason, and he could very well be one of the 5 starters in this Orioles rotation, considering he pitched to a 3.89 ERA last year and a 3-1 record, had some quality starts, and came out of the bullpen as well. The Orioles, however, are probably not entirely done with their rotation. They may have some moves to make, whether at the major league level or maybe on some minor league deals. Mike Elias, last week when he spoke with reporters, when the Freddie Galvis deal went down, spoke about where the Orioles could address that starting rotation in free agency. Major league or minor league deals, what type of player they could be looking for, and the fact that this roster, and especially the starting rotation, is still in flux. Here's Elias.
And I think, pitching-wise, we're going to keep adding. And whether, there will definitely be some minor league signings prior to camp. We may have a major league signing prior to camp. I don't really know that yet, but we're definitely going to be adding some more pitchers. So we feel that the competition is there. I think we're very clear and consistent and transparent about the fact that this team is still prioritizing the development of our talent infrastructure, our pipeline up and down the system, and we've done a lot of work to elevate ourselves into having one of the most talented organizations, top to bottom, young talent across the league at the minor league level. But we want to have healthy competition in camp. We want to have interesting players in camp. We've got playing time and opportunity to offer, and we want to make sure that those opportunities are going to guys that it makes sense.
So that was Mike Elias last week after Freddie Galvis was added to the Orioles infield. The shortstop will certainly be the starting day shortstop in 2021. Where the other pieces of that starting infield will be and who they will be, that is TBD, as they add Jahmai Jones, a prospect, top 10 prospect in the Angels system in the Alex Cobb deal. Where he fits into the Orioles' top 30 prospects, and could he crack the Orioles' opening day roster? We shall see. We're taking more of your comments as we react to this deal on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter as we are live. Luke999 saying the Orioles will win the 2021 World Series. Maybe keep your expectations a little bit lower there, Luke. WWE Master saying, do you think Baumann will be in the rotation this year? I think there's certainly a chance, of course, referring to Michael Baumann, top 20 prospect in the Orioles system, who has 3 excellent pitches, got a taste of Double-A Bowie in the 2019 season, somebody who suffered an injury right at the end of the Orioles season. Obviously, he wasn't with the big league club. He was at the alternate site in Bowie, but he should be good to go once spring training starts. Could very well crack the Orioles rotation this season. Probably will not be in the Orioles rotation out of opening day. Most likely will be added to the team, the big league team, later on in the season. But I could see Michael Baumann, I could see Zach Lowther, or Alexander Wells, maybe all 3 of those guys eventually fitting into the Orioles rotation during the 2021 season. Luke saying Orioles should have gotten Mike Trout. Every time they do a deal with the Orioles, I think maybe there's a chance, that Mike Trout will be a throw-in in any one of those deals, and we have yet to see it. So unfortunately, coming up short in that area. More comments. Noah Flaherty saying on Facebook, does Elias ever sleep? This has certainly been a busy offseason for Mike Elias. He has made several transactions. Of course, all goes back to picking up Jose Iglesias' option several months ago, then trading Jose Iglesias, non-tendering Renato Nunez and Hanser Alberto, eventually now trading Alex Cobb. A very busy offseason for Mike Elias as he's looking to get this team ready for the 2020 season, and of course, as he likes to say, building the talent pipeline for beyond that. Brian on Facebook saying needed to let Cobb go. His stay was not expected, and Jahmai Jones is a solid pickup. Alex Cobb was on an expiring contract for this 2021 season, so Brian, I completely agree. After the 2021 season, he was no longer going to be an Oriole no matter what. Still had some money, some significant money left on that deal for the 2021 season, and some deferred money as well. But he was almost definitely not going to be an Oriole in 2022 and beyond. So what the Orioles did is they got good value for him while they can, and you can make the case that they got better value for him now than if they would have waited 5 months and tried to get a deal done before the deadline. Less money left on his contract at that point, but of course the Angels would be getting less production and fewer starts from Alex Cobb as well. Taking more comments as we react to this deal as well. Dan asking, who did the Orioles get for Cobb? Let's do a reset real quick. The Orioles, of course, getting Jahmai Jones, one of the top prospects in the Angels system, second base and center fielder, primarily a second baseman who got his feet wet at the big league level for the Angels last year, only at second base. Just 3 games, 3 singles in those 3 games, but was a very productive minor league player. At several points over the course of his career, was in the Baseball America and MLB Pipeline top 100 prospects in all of baseball. So a guy that could fit into the Orioles' long-term picture. We'll see where he fits into the Orioles' top 30 prospect list. And also somebody who could potentially be with the club on opening day in the 2021 season, as they have Yolmer Sanchez currently slotted in as their second baseman. They still have Rio Ruiz most likely slotted in as their third baseman. Freddie Galvis, as Mike Elias alluded to, will be the starting shortstop. But they could move Yolmer Sanchez over to third base, and they could have Jahmai Jones over at second base to start the season, or that could be a configuration that they try in the 2021 season. The fact that Jahmai Jones has some experience in the outfield doesn't hurt. It's a crowded outfield group right now for the Orioles. Of course, they still have Austin Hayes. Ryan Mountcastle is expected to get some time in the outfield. Anthony Santander and Cedric Mullins as a backup outfielder, with prospects Ryan McKenna and Yusniel Diaz on their way after that. But Jahmai Jones, the fact that he can play center, can play the outfield, is not going to hurt in case the Orioles need him in a pinch there as well. Taking more comments as we go along on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Thank you so much for your comments as we are going along. Akili saying, I am shocked Elias was able to get somebody rated this high. I'm sorry if I butchered your name there, Akili. But yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised that Alex Cobb was able to fetch the kind of return he did, getting Jahmai Jones, one of the top prospects in the Angels system. Considering Alex Cobb's time with the Orioles on that 4-year, $57 million deal that he signed, he has underperformed, I think it's fair to say, during those 3 seasons that he's been in Baltimore. Just a 7-22 record, 5.10 ERA during his seasons in Baltimore, and of course missed significant time. Pitched just 3 games during the 2019 season, made all his starts in 2020, 28 starts in 2018, and of course in his time with the Tampa Bay Rays was injury troubled as well. As you look at his 2020 stats, that 2-5 record, 4.30 ERA. He was better on early on in the season, and then as the season went along, had some tough starts, one in Buffalo against the Blue Jays that kind of inflated his ERA, but a good strikeout to walk ratio, and it was enough to get the Angels interested in Alex Cobb fitting into their rotation. The Angels, of course, being a team that traditionally has struggled, recently at least, to find starting pitchers. It's part of the reason they sent 4 prospects to the Orioles last winter in exchange for Dylan Bundy. So now they will have both Dylan Bundy and Alex Cobb in their starting rotation for the 2021 season as they continue to collect former Orioles at this point. So Alex Cobb going over to the LA Angels in exchange for Jahmai Jones. We will have full coverage as well on the podcast tomorrow, the MASN All Access podcast, which you can catch on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, watch it on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Myself and Brendan Mortensen are your two hosts. We'll react to this. We'll react to the addition of Freddie Galvis to the infield, so tune in live for that as well tomorrow. And of course, be sure to stay tuned to MASNsports.com as Steve Molesky and Rock Kabaka will have you covered there throughout the offseason, and in particular with this trade of Alex Cobb going to the LA Angels. Before we get out of here, I do want to acknowledge the fact that MASN lost a great member of their family a couple days ago. Mel Antonin, after a year-long battle with several illnesses, including COVID-19, battled incredibly hard right until the end, and unfortunately MASN lost a great member of their family. He was an outstanding writer and broadcaster for many years at USA Today, and then we were lucky enough to have him for several years at MASNsports.com, and of course many of you watched him on the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report every day of the week. He was an outstanding member of the team, was a fixture in many clubhouses, including Oriole Park at Camden Yards. My personal interactions with Mel, I came over to MASN just a few years ago in 2016. And even as going back to my days as an intern, he was always gracious, always kind, always very friendly, and treated me as an equal from day one. I had the chance to be on several MASN All Access shows and do several interviews with Mel. Incredibly knowledgeable, obviously, about all teams in baseball, and in particular the Baltimore Orioles. A lot of outpouring of support for his family and friends yesterday we saw on social media, and we want to extend those condolences to his family and friends as well. Mel was beloved by so many. He will be missed by so many, and we certainly love and miss Mel Antonin. Thank you so much for tuning in.